represent. Go, rest in peace.
There we go, man. Say hi.
Hey.
So, welcome to Scissor Me Now podcast. I'm Aaron Coe, and this is Shane Nesbitt.
How are you, brother?
Good. It's the first time I've actually done a stand-up interview before. You know what's crazy is I've been to a lot of barbershops. Actually, if I have like a tub at home full of business cards that's full of everywhere I've been in the last like 6 years. And I distinctly know that I've never been in a shop like yours.
Thank you.
Where everyone is insanely respectful.
Yeah.
Like you know how it is in the industry where we're just talking about this outside, how it's kooky.
Of course.
Right? There's just a certain level of just like kookiness and like weird shit.
Yeah.
And the other thing you were talking to me about was like the calls that I get from people. And the calls that I get from like one of the last ones that I got was from Austin. And there's a barber down there named Francisco, and he works at the Shed.
Right.
And that was such a respectful call.
Great guy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people. Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm used to getting like, oh, hi, you're the guy, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
What do you mean?
Or expecting something from you that you're not capable of doing.
Yeah, or they like talk to me like I'm a fucking drug dealer.
Right.
You know, like, and so like one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is how we work in one of the most like lucrative, like big industries ever.
Right.
Right. There's so much money in the beauty industry,
right.
Especially in the men's grooming side. There's so much even more. Yet there's so many health problems that go along, you know, with not hairstyling and like beauty and stuff.
Yeah.
Why is it, do you think, in the workplace that there's no sort of health insurance that's offered, or like any of that sort of stuff for stylists? Because there are the same repeating problems of when you cut with bad technique.
Tendinitis, arthritis, back issues. Yeah, it all kind of comes with the territory. People, I think there's like a huge misunderstanding. Like people think that this is the easiest job in the world, and you know, you just get your license and then you're instantly making a ton of money. The majority of the people that I know that are self-employed, that own their own businesses, there's a lot of stress that goes on behind the scenes, not only to keep the lights on, but to keep the fluidity of the barbershop or salon going. And there's a lot of like, you know, like it's kind of like, you know, you're sacrificing yourself to better the business.
So that's one of the things I thought that was super ironic, is that in beauty, in the process of beautifying other people, you in return end up crippled.
Potentially.
Yeah, like
potentially. There's a fine line, and unfortunately, I'm one of the few that's really, like, I'm very hard on myself. I'm very militant in regard to the way that I treat my clients. I feel that 98% of my clientele base is based, like, I have them in my chair consistently because of what I've put my body through. With that being said, you know, my alarm goes off in between 2:30 and 3:30 a.m. every day, and I'm at the shop no later than 3 to 4 a.m.
Why do you do that, though?
Because it was a niche that needed to be filled. There was a niche for people, like I always was somebody that got up early to get as much out of the day as I possibly could, whether it be productivity or relaxation, which is slim to none. But I like to get as much as I can out of the day as early as possible, you know. And I have the majority of my clientele base just happens to be very similar in that thought process. I have guys that work jobs that can't swing getting cut at 6 p.m. or getting cut at 5 p.m. They would much rather get cut early in the morning, so it's out of the way, and that they can enjoy the rest of their day. And that it kind of snowballed. Initially, I started at 8 in the morning. I always started pretty early anyway. Started at 8 in the morning, and then clients would be like, "Hey Shane, would you mind if I got cut at like 7:30?" And it kind of snowballed backwards, which also in turn allows me to have more time with my children in the afternoon. You know, I'm a single father of 2 daughters, so that's like a big thing for me too, is like being able to figure out what's the most effective way to spend time with my children. And coincidentally, it was, you know, the early morning starts. Right. You know, if I start at 3 in the morning, well, now that I'm getting my back surgery, I start at 3 in the morning, and what I'm trying to do is be done by noon. And that'll allow me time to...
Yeah, so your back has been fucking you up your whole life.
Right, yeah.
So
Up.
Hey, what up?
Here's my better
Sorry
part.
to interrupt you.
We're doing
No,
an interview.
go
babe.
for it. How you doing?
Good. How are
Aaron,
you?
this is Loren.
Hi, Aaron.
Nice to meet you. I'm
Nice to
Aaron.
meet
I'm
you
Butter
too.
Shears.
You're on video, babe.
You literally walked in at the perfect moment because I was just talking about how with Shane, his back has just been fucking him up his whole life, and he was just saying earlier that like you're his rock.
Yeah, she really is my rock. Like, especially right now, it's a trip. Like, you know, going through this and whatever. We'll talk about it too. We're literally doing the interview. Where's that coffee at?
I have your coffee.
That's awesome, man.
Lifesaver.
Yeah. So where did this back thing start from?
Well, you know, I rode a skateboard pretty seriously for 17 years, like solid 17 years. Skated every day, skated every night. That was kind of like, I think that may have been the precursor to it. And then barbering for the better part of 14 years. But what I want people to understand is, yeah, I've only been a barber for 14 years, but the amount of hours that I've put into this trade
Is much more
significant.
Like, how many years would you equate that to? Like almost.
I mean, for the average person, man, like the better part of 30 years. I mean, I worked the first 2 years alone. I was working 6 days a week, and I was averaging no less than 15 hours a day, because I understood that, you know, I'm not the smartest scholastically, but I know how to survive, and I know exactly how. Back then, I thought I knew how like a client would want to be treated. Now, nearly 15 years later, I know exactly how my clients deserve to be treated and the value of them being in my shop. So I put as much time and energy as I could into the early years. I mean, I still work no less than 12 hours a day, but I'm working 4 days a week right now, which is all going to change after the surgery. So going back to what you asked me about my back issues, the majority of my back issues spawned from me overworking myself and overstressing myself. And I take the trade very seriously.
I know, man.
Yeah, I take it very seriously because it, even in the last decade, we've all seen how the barber trade has exploded with,
Right, of course.
and there's very few people that, and I don't mean to sound negative or anything, but there's very few people. There's many people that I respect for their quality of haircut.
Sure.
There's very, very few people that I respect as incredible barbers, and it's because there's very few incredible barbers.
Right, and well, see, that's really one of the biggest parts of the trade, is that I think it's been so infected by greed.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have, whether it be greed or whether it be something else, once you have a particular set of blinders that come over you, it really becomes that person separates from, do I want to become an incredible barber, or do I just want to have this crazy business that just, I know people are going to come in, it's going to milk the money. Like, I'm going to sell whatever layrite Baxter, like just a shit ton of it off the shelves.
Right.
And that's how most shops are run in the industry. So why did you choose to go the opposite direction?
There's no longevity in fast money. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, people think that because they have $500 in their pocket today that they're golden. And the way I'd rather have $200 in my pocket for the next 50 years and have integrity.
Right.
The integrity of my business and the amount of pride that I take in my business and the amount of diligence that I do in regard to training my guys to run this business the way that I want it run has proven to be successful. No Lamborghinis, no flashy houses,
Right,
none of
right,
that.
right.
But the respect that my shop has, both nationally, locally, and internationally, is all I could have ever asked for. And that's spawned solely from doing right by the trade. It breaks my heart to see people that open salons or barber shops and not only don't know how to cut hair or are unlicensed,
Right.
and do it solely for the money. But the saddest part about that is that there's no longevity in that. I mean, I've been involved in the trade for, again, the better part of 15 years, and I've seen every type of shop open and close, or that are done both ways.
Right.
The shops that are really, really respectful and have a lot of integrity and take a lot of pride in what they do versus the shops that are doing it solely for the money. It's very vivid and it's very obvious. So the reason that I chose to do what I do now is because I go home every day and I think, you know, and this is the honest truth, Aaron, like for the last 2 years, I've had almost zero confidence with myself as a business owner, as a father, as a barber, as a tradesman, because of the pain that I've been feeling in my back. It brings on a lot of like depression and like anxiety, and I doubt myself consistently. But I also know at the same time what is propelling me right now is the fact that I know what I'm capable of. So I teach my guys the best I know how. But the amount of like stress that this causes me, and pain and anguish and like just disarray entirely, is unfathomable. So I do the best I can to run the business the way that I know it should be run, and by the fucking grace of God or whoever it may be, my guys all get it. You know, they're like,
yeah, they're very on the same page about everything, it seems like.
Yeah, don't be late, be respectful of clients. At the end of the day, we're all just barbers. Like, there's no reason to be cocky about anything. I don't care. You know, I know how much money they make. They make incredible money. And that's great. But the money is secondary. Again, like I reiterate consistently on respect and appreciating people that come through the front door of the shop, because there's a multitude of other shops around here. Like prior to the whole barber explosion, we were one of the only shops one of the only shops doing what we do in the Bay Area. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I refuse.
Do you just have like a list of people that just want to work at the shop? Like,
yeah, people email me and call me and text me regularly. Yeah, all the time.
Do you respond to a lot of them? Or
I do the best I can. Again, I'm in a weird state. I'm in a weird state right now where like I get out of the shop and I'm kind of like, I'm really stressed from my back.
Yeah.
So like I do the best I can to respond to people and answer questions, and to do the best I can. Yeah, I do. Yeah, to answer your question, I do respond to most of them. There's a lot of people that, like, if I get the email or the direct message or something through Instagram, and they're like, yo, what's up with a job?
God damn.
It's pretty obvious that they're not going to get a response.
Yeah.
I think again, that's another huge misunderstanding.
That just sounds so entitled. What's up with a job?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Entitled. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on right now. Entitlement. People are really, really, really cocky for no good reason.
I see you going this way. What you've decided to put into the barbering side and what you've got out of it, it works. In terms of like the employees that you're getting.
Right.
The level of work that you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's such a vast majority of people that just don't give a shit and want to go this way. And
they don't know better.
So here's the thing, is like, what is the future of grooming for like men's, really? Because it's like you said, it's so fresh and it's so new, and it's only been really dropped and like popularized within like the last like 6-7 years.
Right.
So what the hell happens next?
Well, what you're going to see, you're going to see all these guys that think it's really, really cool to be a barber. Really, really like a really cool job. And again, like I said previous, a lot of people get their barber license, they work in a shop for a minute and then realize how hard it is. It's not easy. The amount of hours that I worked when I was younger made it so every one of my guys is super busy. Everybody in this shop is booked at least 2 weeks out. So
you guys get started early.
Yeah, our shop is advertised as opening at 5:30 a.m.
Oh my God.
And Cedric and myself are here before 5 a.m. So I'm here, I'm here. This week I started at 3 a.m. every day, and then Cedric starts at 5 a.m.
Has this always been your work ethic?
Yeah, that's the only thing. I never graduated high school. I was kicked out of my home at a very young age, so fortunately enough, I grew up working in a skateboard shop, so I always had to talk to people, and I understood that the nicer you are and the more respectful you are to people, you leave a longer lasting impression. So, you know, at a very young age, I was working, and by 20, I opened my first business.
Right.
With no high school diploma and no education.
And was it hair related?
No, not at all. I was prior to barbering. I mean, I'm very passionate about records and music. So
Cool.
I opened a record store when I was 20 years old, in June of 1998.
And did you apply the same type of work ethic to that?
Oh man, I was untouchable. Like,
Really?
work ethic wise, yeah. Like I was working like crazy. And again, that shop was very similar to this shop where, you know, I decided, you know, although I know quite a bit about many different genres of music, I focused on one thing, and it was solely independent hip hop, no commercial radio stuff at all. And with that being said, we were one of the first distributors on the internet when the internet first started. So I was selling records to guys in Japan, people in Finland, all
Wow.
over Europe, and that little record store, which was in Burlingame, which is a town north of
It's
here.
a pretty rich suburb now.
It's a rich suburb. Yeah, I was in more of an industrial area there, but that shop was a very like staple. It was a very relative part of the hip hop community internationally, because I was distributing music.
Wild.
Yeah, so it was a trip, and that taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about how to like treat people. It taught me a lot about everything, you know. And that was kind of like where it all started, you know.
Yeah.
And that was 20 years ago.
Good Lord.
You know, 19 years ago.
You know, I have to ask, like, you know, the nature of your surgery that's coming up.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be in Germany?
The surgery that I'm getting is actually not FDA approved here. We both know, without having to say it, that the healthcare in the United States is bullshit. I need a very specific surgery. I'm having artificial disc replacement on 3 of my lowest vertebrae discs. L3, L4, L5S1 are all to be replaced by a doctor named Dr. Ritter Lang in Germany.
Right.
I did a lot of homework on him. I have friends that have had the same surgery, lesser degree, less discs, same surgery, same facility, same doctor. And the quality of care I would never be able to get the quality of care here that I will there. Dr. Ritter Lang will do the surgery and then be following up with me every day. They don't push me out in a wheelchair in the streets. They figure out how to get home with a bottle of pills. You know, it's a very very calibrated and very organized surgery.
Right.
And you know, the couple friends of mine that have had the surgery are the reason that I'm going to him specifically. He's like the man, you know.
Yeah.
And anybody that has had the surgery from him, I mean, speaks volumes of him. He's like a legend in Europe.
In a weird, twisted way, you must be very excited about your surgery.
I am. I don't know what it'll feel like to not be in pain every day. I'm anxious. I'm overwhelmed. There's many different feelings. I'm a little, you know, I'm nervous because it's a very invasive surgery.
Right.
The surgery occurs from the front side of my body.
Whoa! I
Yeah.
thought it would go in the back.
Yeah, me too.
Oh shit.
So it's a pretty invasive surgery. Yeah, they cut me open and then move everything aside and do the surgery from the front. So there's things that I'm, you know, and then being in a foreign country with a language.
What's your recovery time?
They can't tell me. I mean, they say I'll be walking within a week of the surgery. Obviously, I won't be walking fast. But my whole lifestyle has to change. You know, Loren and I have she's been with me through the first day of me trying to obtaining the surgery.
Right.
My last day of going to spinal decompression. I was in a spinal decompression program trying to back the pain off, but that was only just putting a Band-Aid on it. So she's been with me through the whole process, and when I get back, obviously my whole life has to change. My work hours have to change. My diet has to change.
I mean, does that part kind of because you've kept this very, very same level of work ethic, does that almost kind of kill you that you have to change that aspect of yourself?
No, because I think that it bothers me because I always want to lead by example for my guys.
Right.
But for personal growth and for the embetterment of my family and my kids,
Right.
and Loren and her kids, like our family unit, I have to be more intelligent. Like, working 15 hours a day is a great way to lead by example for my guys, but it's a terrible way for longevity. It's a terrible way for me to obtain longevity for myself.
This is almost like a new evolution of like how you're going to lead your life.
Right. Yeah. So I'm excited to put out an incredible service with incredibly quality haircuts, and with quality haircuts, and then also being able to take better care of my family and my shops. I plan on opening another shop next year, right on the tail end of the surgery.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Closer towards the Bay.
We're gonna stay in the Bay Area. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have some ideas for afterwards, but within the next 12 to 18 months, I'll have another shop open.
That's very cool. Because when I heard about your back surgery and I followed your story and I saw everything, and the little ways I can contribute, with shears and stuff. I never really saw it for you as like almost like this very sort of like positive, like new leapfrogging way to get to taking care of your family.
Right.
While you still have this ambition of opening a new shop, and it's not even at its most mentally draining. It's almost kind of like you've sort of in a way reached this very interesting finish line.
Yeah, it is a trip. I take it as a gift and a curse. What happened with my back, like I had been pushing with the pain and I was under the assumption that it would go away. My chiropractor kept telling me, like, Shane, you need to get an MRI, you need to get an MRI. I know something else is wrong. For the people that don't know me, I have a really high threshold for pain, and that was kind of inhibiting me. So now that I got the MRI back and saw the damage that it's done to my back, having the surgery I think is going to give me like not only a newfound respect for the trade, but a newfound understanding for life. And I'm like less than 2 weeks away from my surgery. I'm like 10 days away from my surgery, and this is going to change everything. I was supposed to open a shop this year. Like, I had everything ready. Like, I was already looking at spaces. I had like all the distribute, because I'm going to be doing a barber supply shop as well, so it'll be like a barber shop and a supply store, and I had everything set up. Everything was ready to go, and then my chiropractor told me, like, dude, you need surgery, and there's no getting out of it. Like, you need to do this. And then that's there was the American choice that could have possibly happened, me going to Europe and doing what I'm doing with Dr. Ritter Lang, and I chose the latter. So
there's what's happening with your back, and then some of the more horrific things that I've read is because when keratin, like hair treatments, first started coming out in the industry like 10 years ago, right? And there was a lot of formaldehyde handling.
Yes.
So I recently just found this out about how women as hairstylists as a profession have more miscarriages than any other profession. Yeah. And that's absolutely nuts. Yeah. And then it gets there's more horrific stories, because when people actually like cut the hair, the little shards of hair actually coat people's lungs. Yeah. And I've read a story where the hair had actually like lodged into someone's nose. Yeah. And it caused an infection and just started eating a whole way to their nose. And
people don't think about that. I mean, it's cosmetologists.
It's crazy.
People don't think about it. I mean, it's a hard job. I mean, you could see how swollen my hand is. This is from barbering, and this isn't even like, this is typically like, depending on the day, like, I haven't cut today. If I cut today, then my hand will be swollen up to here, and
I kind of make like a fist like this.
I'm unable to close it right now.
Oh wow!
So like, there's days where I can and can't. I mean, you look at that hand, and it's fine.
All right, folks. First of all, this hand right here, if you see that type of flat fist with like not knuckles in the front, that's the guy you don't want to fight. That's the guy that fucks you up.
That's what they used to tell me.
This right here, all this bone shit, this is the hand of a fucking pussy. This is the dude you want to fight.
Yeah, my hands are a mess.
God damn, so you really can't close it right now.
No, it's bad. I mean, but that's just like one of the many things, like people see that it's glamorous, and you could even ask, if you bring Loren in here and ask her, like, you know, she's there with me when I wake up at 2:30 in the morning for work, and
Right.
you know, and when I come home from work, it's like, it's real shit, man. It's like, I put a lot into this, and anyone that I fuck with that's in my circle, anyone that I do business with or consider like a colleague or a friend, they're doing something very similar, you know, like obviously people I don't know anyone else in the world that gets up as early as me for work to do what I do.
Sure.
But I can't wait to feel excited again. Like right now it's like difficult for me to get out of bed and to go to work for 12 hours or 13 hours or even at 10 hours.
Right.
Because I'm in so much pain. But I look forward to being excited about that again and being able to be here for my clients and get in it. You know, like I get in it now and we laugh and have fun, but
yeah,
it takes, I mean, everything from hair splinters to back issues and anything in between. It's like people don't think about that stuff, you know? It's crazy.
No, I mean, in my own way, from traveling around so much, sleeping in inconsistent places, having almost zero routine, I've started to notice now, finally at 29, like when I was going...
You're young.
Yeah, when I was going through about like 23 to like 26, I felt entirely invincible. But then like over the last like year and a half, have I started noticing some very interesting wear and tear.
Yeah.
Where
you have to take care. I mean, at 29, dude, you're like, I mean, I'll be 40 in October. So like, but the amount of time that I've worked, like you're at an age where it's like that I remember being 30 and being like, dude, like I felt great. You know, I was cycling, I was riding on my bicycle 150 miles a week. I was still skating a little bit, and then things started, like I started, you know, I went through a really bad marriage, a really bad divorce that kind of like illuminated everything. Excuse me, but you're at an age where it's like, yeah, if you're feeling it, you got to do something about it, you know, like it's very important because
that's why I've started essentially like, you know, I thought about this a lot. I was like, you know, what is my end game in the industry? You know, is it to saturate the market, to saturate the world?
Yeah.
And I was looking upon the whole industry, and that's why I started the podcast.
Yeah.
Is because people can go to your website, right?
Yeah.
And they'll know, you know, Shane on the website. But
Right.
let's be honest, no one really uses the website.
No.
It's all, so people then go to Instagram as the platform, right?
Yeah.
So then people see Shane as like the Instagram, like, you know, like barber.
Which is still strange, yeah.
Yeah, and they see all of your work and stuff. But when it actually comes to like seeing like who is Shane as the person, that platform in the industry doesn't exist at all.
Which is why you're doing this interview.
Exactly, because there's never been anything like it. So what ends up happening is like, you have this crazy back pain, right? And then all people know is that like, shit, maybe they think you have a glamorous life, that you literally sit, if you never talked about your back, that you would just sit there and with the rest of your shop, you guys would be cutting hair all day long, just making a killing.
Yeah.
And that's what people's perceptions entirely would be.
Well, they think they see me, you know, like they see me traveling and they see this stuff. And that's the funniest thing about the internet is that everything's like I'm fucking rich and that like I don't have any issues at all. Like life is perfect. Whereas like, you know, again, like they have no idea. Like you should ask, if I call Lauren in here real quick and you ask her some questions, if you want to ask her questions about my back shit, dude, she's been there where I'm like crying my brains out. Dude, I'm a grown man, like crying my brains out about how much pain I'm in. And no one gets it, you know what I mean? She's the closest person to me and I can't let my kids see me like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the people on the internet see me in one perspective, but the reality is significantly different, you know?
Right, which is why I think something like this more now than ever is so necessary.
Right.
Is because people, you know, once people are able to understand, you know, exactly what's happening in the workplace, because the beauty industry is glamorous.
It's a fucking joke.
And there's a shit ton of money in it. And, you know, people, I mean, take the most intelligent person in the world, right? Take Jason Bourne.
Right.
Let's say he walks into your shop. There's that very interesting moment of like, once you're through the door, you surrender.
Right.
Because you're not going to tell your barber like how to give yourself a fucking haircut. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
You trust the person, you know, who is essentially like operating, doing work on your head.
Right.
In terms of the same way that you trust this doctor who's going to be operating on you.
It's fun. That's a trip, and that was an analogy that there's a lady, Colleen, she's in Canada, who was formerly a patient of Dr. Ritter Lang, and her analogy for me was, Shane, Dr. Ritter Lang does this like you do haircuts. And I was like, oh, that's well understood, you know, like, that's crazy.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I mean, I've fucked a couple haircuts up in my day, but you know, like Dr. Ritter Lang he's the man, and she speaks very highly of him, and everybody speaks very highly of him. I don't have a choice. Like, there's no choice at this point. Like, I'm not going to be able to be a father to my girls. I am not going to be able to be a leader at the shop. I'm not going to be able to be the caliber of barber that I want to be if I don't get this surgery. Like, there's no choice now. Like, I pushed it for as long as I could. I should have had surgery probably 4 years ago when I was initially having this pain, and I pushed it so far that even my buddies that have had the surgery, they've all gotten only one disc, and I have to have 3. So if that tells you, like, the amount of damage that I've just, done, the amount of damage I've done to myself,
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily quantity, because the way those 3 discs, it's extremely complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
is.
way they all affect each other.
Prior to me realizing that I had to do this surgery,
Right.
I was just pushing. I was drinking a lot. I've stopped drinking. I've been sober for a couple months, and
Right.
I was drinking a lot because
Purely for the pain?
Yeah, I mean, like, it would just take away, like, it would take away my anxiety. It would take away, I thought it was taking away the pain, which was ultimately inflaming this shit more. But what I'm getting at is, like, and I just want her to, like, kind of chime in, because she's with me all the time. She's like my best friend, dude, and she's very honest with me, and she's fucking seen me at my worst. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And the thing that I have to tell people, like, no matter how hard you work, no matter where you go in the world, if you're doing it by yourself, it doesn't really carry any weight. You know what I mean? And if you have someone to do it with, and you're healthy, it's just like that much. It's that much more incredible. Does that make sense?
That's very sage, and I think that, for our species to be human, until we actually, a lot of us go through it, it doesn't click as hard as, like, you being in it right now.
Right, and that's where we're on camera and stuff, babe. But, like, I'm explaining to, like, the barber, like, this is gonna go out to the barber world, and, like, I'm explaining to him what I've been going through with the back stuff. And yes, I've worked a lot of hours, and I've put in a lot of time in the trade. But if I wasn't to get this back surgery, I'd be sacrificing a lot more than just that. Like, there's no way that anyone could, go on with what they're doing work-wise or relationship-wise, or even, like I said, with my kids. And
Right.
again, like I was telling them, that you're with me all the time. Like, seen me at my worst, she hasn't had the opportunity to see me at my best. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what my best is at this point.
Oh, fuck, man.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. Like, I was just calling you in because, like, the barber world sees this one depiction of me through the internet and think that, like, everything's all fucking glamour and gold, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, especially right now, it's nothing like that.
It's not even close.
Like, there's days where I've called her and I'm, like, crying, dude, standing right there, crying my brains out, leaning on that counter, like, dude, like, I can't work, you know what I mean? And, like, that's what, I don't care about how well I cut hair or how well people think I cut hair or whatever perception they have of me. It's all different, you know what I mean? Like, if I wasn't to get the surgery, there would be nothing else. Everything else would be defunct. Like, my relationship, my kids, everything. And it's like, that's a point that I want to get across. If there's any questions that you want to ask her about it, like, yeah, I think it would be cool for people, because everybody here is like, if I was like to look into the camera and be like, dude, you have to take care of yourself first. I was explaining to Aaron that, like, my entire life has to change after the surgery.
Yeah.
From diet to work hours to everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, it's like a serious wake-up call that doesn't come until it's almost too late, until we really start to take things seriously. But I think after what Shane's experienced, it's definitely one of those things where it's a life changer.
Right. I mean, sometimes like you said, he might just sit down back here and like he might just be like sobbing from the pain.
Yeah.
Is it alarming to get those calls?
Yeah.
And to realize like, because like life can be very mundane, in your day-to-day actions, and then all of a sudden like you get this call that really just hits home very hard.
Yeah.
What's it like to get that call?
I mean,
How does it change
definitely,
your
it's
perception?
hard to hear because, I mean, I've told Shane a lot of times, like, he's one of the hardest working men I've ever met.
Yeah,
And,
good Lord.
to hear him, at such a weak point, it is really hard to hear, and especially it's like, you can't really do much except just kind of be there for him. And But I've told him before that, I'll never know what it's like to feel what he's experienced, but emotionally, I'd like to say that that's something I could really relate to.
She's there for me, dude. Like we were on the phone. So I did that trip in Japan in March, and it was that trip where I was like, dude, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to carry on my life feeling the way that I felt on that trip. Specifically, it was a lot of work, it was a lot of traveling, and she was the person that I was like, babe, I have to get this surgery. Like, when I get home, the first thing that I have to do is figure out how I'm going to be able to get this surgery.
Right.
And now, in less than in a week from tomorrow, we
10
fly
days.
my surgery's in 10 days, but we fly in 1 week from tomorrow to Germany, and everything came to fruition. But it looks, going back to what we were talking about, it's like, it looks great, and it looks like I've accomplished everything on my own, and for the most part I have. But the most pertinent part of my entire career, and the most pivotal moment in my entire career, and for all the barbers that I've ever taught internationally, and all the barbers I plan on teaching in the future, this surgery and her are the two largest things that will happen for my entire career. Because if I didn't have her backing me, I probably wouldn't have made the decision to get the surgery. And if I didn't make the decision to get the surgery, I don't know where I'd be.
It'd almost be like this sort of like twisted, reverse self-destruction. While you're doing so much good in cutting hair and like teaching,
Right.
you're completely destroying your own body, which in turn will essentially destroy your whole life.
Well, it's
a very, because like most people assume self-destruction with like, oh, taking too many drugs, or oh, I'm drinking, or just like having like weird addictions or behaviors.
Yeah.
But there can be like exactly your situation.
Which is what I was doing. Like, I was drinking a lot, dude. Like, I was drinking a lot. I didn't know that I was drinking that much, but I was like, man, I'm not tripping off my back, like, and I was drinking a lot, and I was hella super depressed because I know what I'm capable of.
Right.
But you lose that. And for all the barbers that look up to me or like respect me in the trade, they don't know, like, if you don't have your head, you don't really have shit,
Yeah.
And for the better part of like 4 to 5 years, I've been super like not cool.
Over the last 5 years?
The pain started 4 years ago because I was on a trip to Canada. I was teaching in Canada 3 years ago, and I taught and worked at a shop there in Canada, and every day after I left, I would go straight back to my hotel, and they wanted to go partying and shit, and I was like, I can't. I'm like in so much pain that I couldn't. So that was like already 3 years. So I've been pushing for this. Basically what happened was me finally somehow realizing that, like, our relationship wouldn't work. The relationship with the girls, with my daughters, wouldn't, like, shit's not gonna work like this. You know what I'm saying? So like, I put everything I can, everything, like every penny I have, every bit of like energy has gone into this surgery. So when I come back, I feel like I'm gonna be able to be the barber that everyone expects me to be.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
More on like thank you for taking care of Shane. I'm sure the whole barbering industry pretty much thanks you for taking care of him.
Yeah, he's
It's a trip.
pretty remarkable person.
He is. He's a very integral part of our industry.
People don't understand that, like, behind me is her. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And that's some serious. It sounds cliche, but it's like the realest shit I've ever said. Like, I go home every day to her and tell her like what's going on with as best I can. But in a week, I'll be in Germany getting surgery, and she's gonna be with me.
Yeah, and by the look on your face, you look very
I'm crying.
relieved.
Yeah.
You look very relieved to have her.
Yeah.
So, for everyone out there, things aren't always as they seem.
Yeah.
Things aren't always as they seem at all. And if you have no support in your life, what do you really have?
Yeah.
So
It's true.
It's very true.
Goddamn. So here's
Cheers.
your time.
Yeah.
We're gonna have you back, and thank you for taking care of
Mhm.
it.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Aaron.
thanks, babe.
So all you barbers out there, stop being so fucking cocky.
Yeah. There's nothing to be cocky about.
There's nothing to be cocky about. Work hard, and embrace all the support you have in your life.
Absolutely. Right on, Aaron.